You'll get over heartache. You'll get over heartache.
Good evening, St. and thank you for staying tuned or joining us this evening for yet another episode of What's Happening Now with Laura. I tell you, St. Lucia, I mean, I really can't understand what kind of a nation that we're living in. So last week I spoke with you about I don't want to say the advent of, because these things have been around for so long, you know, like the old people would say, "Depi jab titi my kapoti short pants." But I think now with the advent of everybody having a cell phone, having a tablet, some sort of electronic device, our innate nature to be vindictive and to lash out at people have really taken center stage. So last week I spoke with you about the video that was circulating with regards to the young woman with the brutes who were raping her. Whether you or they want to consider it rape, that's what it was. She was drugged. She cannot give consent whether or not she's saying yes. She can't give consent when she's under the influence of illicit substances. So we've established that. So whilst these brutes were raping her, we talked about that video. And I put it into perspective for you. Suppose it was your sister, your mother, your aunt, your grandmother. Suppose this person is mentally challenged and have been going through traumas throughout her life, and this is happening to her. How would you feel about it? No sooner had I spoke about that did somebody send me a video of a couple, looked like they were in some rural area, going about their business. Some would say they should have found the privacy of their homes. Maybe neither of them have their own homes. Maybe that's what turned them on. And here comes two young boys videotaping this act. And they're showing, they're so brazen in whatever they're doing. They're talking to the people and telling them, carry on, don't mind them. They're videotaping. I think they even got so carried away that they started even videotaping themselves. Now, I just happened to be, I tuned into Choice, I think it was Choice News, late. So I only got part of it, where there is this person, and I'm listening to it, just the audio and not the video, talking about how he's just a 16-year-old boy and how he didn't do anything wrong, so the police can't do him anything because he's only 16 years old. And granted that he had, but what shocked me was when he said granted that he had a beef with the girl. So I'm thinking to myself, so you had a beef with the girl, so your aim of videotaping her is to shame her. So we don't just have a case of you distributing pornographic material. We have a case of cyberbullying. And you think because you're 16, you get away with it. You know, you get away with it. Nobody can do you anything. Nobody can can arrest you. Nobody can. This is a little something called Boys Training School, where they send wayward boys. I think maybe you need a stint there to understand yourself, to figure it out. I mean, to me, the couple seemed maybe a little retarded. Maybe that's not the politically correct word to use, but this is the word that came to my mind, and sorry if I'm not politically correct, but hey, they seemed a little retarded, because I can't imagine somebody coming up to you, mindless, two people, coming up to you, videotaping you, and you're still there copulating, doing what animals do in the wild. I mean, seriously. Hey, but like I said earlier, maybe it's just what turns you on. Maybe you don't have a home to go to. Maybe you don't have the privacy that you're still looking for. As I said, it looked like they were in a rural area somewhere in the woods, in the bush, and these two boys came about and, started videotaping. But I'm just saying, suppose that was your sister. Suppose two other boys came up onto your sister while she was doing this, and because one of them had a beef with the girl, with your sister, decided, hey, I'm going to videotape you and I'm going to blast it for everybody to see. I'm going to shame you. I'm going to bully you. You know, people have taken their lives over less things. People have killed themselves over less things. So when you do something like that, not only are you exposing something that comes naturally to most of us, you're exposing yourself as a bully. You're exposing yourself as a bully. And that's never nice. And I think that there are laws against that. And I hope that the law enforcers actually, if you don't do anything about all of the others, you have a face, you have footage of a person saying that they did this deliberately and that they exposed it because they had a beef with the girl. I hope you investigate this. And just because he's 16 years old doesn't mean that he gets away with it. Because you know what? A 16-year-old who gets away with stuff like that grows up to be a 21-year-old, a 31-year-old, a 41-year-old who does this thing and thinks he can get away with it with impunity, because guess what? Nobody took the time off to say, hey, you're wrong. There are consequences, there are penalties, and you're going to have to face them. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. A lot of the times, these things happen to women. Yeah, it does happen to men as well. But a lot of the times, these things happen to women, and they feel so powerless to do anything about it. And when I, as a woman, sit by and say nothing, I am encouraging some other brute, some other animal, some other despicable excuse for a human being to do this to my sister or to my nieces. And I won't have it. You won't do it to me. And I'm sure as hell not going to stand by and allow you to do it to my sister or my nieces. Or any woman for that matter. We have to stand up and say enough is enough. For those of us who can and who cannot speak for themselves. I can speak for myself. I can defend myself. I know what to do and the actions to take to defend my personal rights. But there are some of us, some among us, who cannot. Who cannot. And if those of us who can do not stand up for those of us who cannot, the day will come when we will not be able to stand for ourselves, and no one will stand in our corner. Because guess what? When they came for you, I said nothing. And when they came for you, I said nothing. So when they come for me, I should expect you to say nothing. So that's on that note. You know, sometimes certain people, when you hear them speak, you're amazed, not at exactly what they're saying, but because they ought to know better. So this past week, the whole big thing has been about the cultural center being relocated and the fact that there hasn't been any consultation with the stakeholders at hand. And I listened to a cultural activist who was saying how the cultural center was a gift donated by this government, not this government. Yes, maybe a government formed by the United Workers' Party administration, but by the United Workers' Party, but certainly not this this government. I don't think a lot of the people who form this government right now were even in politics at the time when the cultural center, but I am just playing semantics right now, right? I'm splitting hairs, and that's not the point. The point is, this activist was saying that the cultural center was a gift donated to the artist by a United Workers' Party government. And here comes this government wanting to take it away from them and just take it away from them without consultation or anything. Well, excuse me if I get it wrong, Mr. Activist. I seem to recall years, perhaps decades, or at least a decade, where people have been clamoring for a better home for the arts. A proper theater where various artistic contributions can be showcased, whether it's for carnival, whether it's calypso, whether it's plays, whether it's shows of the likes of Miss Universe St. Lucia or Miss Earth St. Lucia or Carnival Queen Show. We have been clamoring for a better cultural center for years, at least a decade that I know of. We've been clamoring for a better home for the arts. So when this government puts it out there, and I don't know that the government put it out there, I think they sprung yet another leak. But once it is out there that this government is attempting to give you that very same thing which you've been clamoring for, I cannot see what the problem is. If you're honest, you will say that the cultural center as is just a warehouse with a stage, some bleachers, and some chairs. Can you imagine you're going to the National Queen Show and you're asked to dress up in your finery and it's supposed to be a formal event and you come with your red carpets style gown thing going on because it's a formal affair and you come. Can you imagine our Gigi having to go into the cultural center as is in a finery? You know, and we wonder why is it that nobody dresses up to go to the National Queen Show anymore. Nobody dresses up to go to any of the Queen shows, whether it's Miss Universe, St. Lucia, the St. Lucian leg, or Miss Earth, the St. Lucian leg, whatever. Nobody dresses up. Everybody just dresses casually to go to these things. Why? Because there's no ambience. There's no refinery. There's no pizzazz. There's nothing like that. We're going to this warehouse, which isn't even set up properly. And by all accounts, it was supposed to have been a temporary setup. So here you have a government who is finally deciding, you know what? I'm going to give you what you've been asking for, which is a better home for the arts. And you're complaining. You're complaining. I heard this particular activist saying that it was a gift and you can't take back a gift. And this is a gift for the artists to do with as they please. Well, here's this. My parents share 4 children together. They've ensured that all of us got a sound education. Can you imagine now, after have been facilitated to have a proper education, that instead of going out there to get a job so that we can be self-sufficient, we expect our parents to give us a handout, to give us a stipend, an allowance every month so that we can take care of our needs. Can you imagine? They've given us, or they've facilitated rather, us getting an education to be able to fend for ourselves. But rather than fend for ourselves, we're asking for an allowance every month. To me, this is what I see is happening with the artists and the cultural movement as it was put forth by this activist. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying the way this particular activist spoke, this is what it seemed to me that he was saying. This was a gift given to the artists so that they can showcase their talents and blah, 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 and whatever, and the government is taking it back. So if the government gave you a gift wherein you can showcase your talents and that you can put on shows and plays, why is it that the cultural center and the CDF and all of that goes with it continues to seek or depend on government subvention? Why is it that these artists that you're claiming were not consulted, why is it that they haven't come together as an association, as a united front, and ensured that funds are raised outside of government subvention to upgrade the cultural center? I'm just asking the question. I am not saying that you guys haven't. I'm asking, have you done that? Have you come together as an entity to better the lot that you've been given? I'm just asking the question because I think it's a little. I was not impressed. I was very offended because I know I've agitated. I mean, I go to the cultural center. It's hot. It's stuffy. I can't sit in the bleachers because there's no backrest. I can't sit in the bleachers. So I've got to sit on the floor where there's, just the chairs. And that's not theater style seating. It's just chairs lined up one behind the other. And then I have to ensure that I come in earlier than most people to get a front seat because I'm not exactly the tallest person in the world. And if I'm sitting in the back and somebody with a high hairdo or taller than me sits in front of me, I can't see anything. So I have to ensure that I get in early. And for those of us living in the South, we know how that is. We can always get to the cultural center early. Sometimes we don't even get there bang on time. Much less getting there early, much less to get a proper seat where you can see what's going on and you can get your money's worth. I have stopped going to Queen shows a long time because I'm not going to come in jeans and t-shirt to our National Queen show. But I am not going to subject myself to dressing up in my finery to come to a warehouse, to sit where I'm always hot and stuffy, even though there's supposed to be AC, that when I need to use the washroom, I've got to hold my nose and get in there because it's so icky. And if it rained before, or if it's raining still, get wet or walk in the mud. I have stopped going to most things that's held at the cultural center for that exact reason. So for one, I would be happy to see a new cultural center somewhere more fitting. We like to say that Derek Walcott agitated so much for a home for the arts. That home for the arts that we have was already there. Yet he lamented whether he would die before seeing a proper home for the arts. And guess what? He died not seeing a proper home for the arts. Our memory is so selective when it comes to certain issues. But then again, it shouldn't be surprising because depending on what color lines the halls of Parliament, some of us come out from the woodwork and talk a lot of scrap. And by the way, those of you who are saying that the cultural center will be relocated on the grounds or on property owned by Caribbean Metals, I have it on good grounds that that's a lie. That all of the areas being considered for the cultural center, all of the locations are owned by J.K. Charles. So when we're putting things out there, it's one thing to think that we're educating the masses. But when we're talking out of the corners of our mouth and we don't know what we're talking about, when we're not aware of what we're saying, then maybe we need to hold on a little to the leaked information and find out more. Right? So my sources say that the possible locations are not owned by Caribbean Metals. And that they're just in the beginning stages of contemplating whether to move the cultural center or whether to leave it where it is, as is, for a longer period of time, because there are matters of priority, and we all have to accept that. I think that the arts needs to be put on the front burner, but I also will recognize and appreciate that there are other things, perhaps, such as our justice system, which we have continue to belabor the point that is so broken that we can foresee, even before a crime has been committed, what will the outcome be. So there are issues that are being weighed, and one of it is whether to even move the cultural center from where it is. For me, I think I'm leaning more on the side of removing the cultural center from where it is, because guess what? Because if you move the cultural center from where it is, chances are you're going to get a better home for the arts than what currently exists at that particular location. We all understand that we're living in a country with limited resources. We have to accept that, whether we like it or not, whether we're red, yellow, black, white, green. We all have to accept that we have limited resources, and those resources have to be split several different ways to accommodate everything that we need as well as the things that we want. So I, for one, would not be adverse to seeing the cultural center removed, because to my mind, the arts community should be getting a better home than what currently exists. Whether it is something that is going to be happening in a hurry, I don't know. My sources say that this is something that they've just started negotiating, they've just started discussing, and that they have been in dialogue with CDF, so I don't know where the activist is coming from. I mean, I can't expect you to go to every actor and every singer and every artist and every body that would be using the cultural center and discussing with them personally in the beginning stages, but the CDF, which is the body which is responsible for the cultural center, from my understanding, have been engaged in dialogue, and that it is just the beginning stages. So we need to calm down. We need to calm down and realize that not every leak needs to be leaked. Yeah, not every leak needs to be leaked. Speaking about the cultural movement, I also heard about CARIFESTA not being funded. From what I understand, it's not that it's not being funded, but that a proposal was not submitted to the relevant ministry for CARIFESTA. And I'm saying, again, this same activist is the one making a hullabaloo about it. But before I go into that, let me just say that some of the people making a fuss over the cultural center, you know yourselves. You've traveled, you've lived abroad. You know what it is like to have a proper home, a proper theater. The cultural center as is isn't. You could use all of your prose. You could describe it however you want and say what bright lights. I mean, I have participated in shows in the cultural center. Yeah, the lights are bright, but after the lights, there's nothing. And you think that just because we come from the other part of St. Lucia, that we want to come all the way, travel all that distance to participate in events that are not even wow in the first instance. I mean, a lot of us, the days of people in St. Lucia not traveling, this is over. A lot of kids right now, they spend the summer vacations elsewhere. They're exposed to other things, to other cultures. They're exposed to different experiences, and they know that this excuse for a cultural center really isn't cutting it. But back to the CARIFESTA thing. So I understand that a proposal wasn't submitted, and so there was no budget for CARIFESTA. And again, I have to say, the activists or the persons who are putting together, from what I understand from the activists, it's like hands up, because last year, Creative Industries was the one responsible for putting it together. So they took it over, and I may be wrong, so I stand corrected if I am, but what I gleaned from the activists is that the Creative Industries took it over without consultation. So this year, since they took it over, Creative Industries, that is, the CARIFESTA bandwagon people just said, hands up, let them deal with it. But if my memory serves me correct, there is no longer a creative industries per se. So we know that when this new administration came in, and heaven help me, I'm still confused as to a lot of the different ministries and whatnot. Don't you think that the proper thing would be to enter into dialogue with the relevant ministry and say, okay, guys, last year this is how creative industry dealt with it. Or last time, this is how, not last year, but last time, this is how creative industries dealt with it. How do we proceed? Do you want to continue that way? Because at the end of the day, you're the one suffering. You continue to say you're the one suffering. The kids are the ones suffering. The theater, the arts community is the one suffering. You don't have to always wait for somebody else to come to you to enter dialogue with you. Dialogue goes two ways. That's why it's called a dialogue. It goes two ways. So if somebody didn't come to you and it means so much to you, you've got to go to them. Not wait at the 11th hour to say, hey, you know, they cut off subvention or they cut off funding for people to go to CariFesta. And a lot of times, you guys go to CariFesta, the majority of us don't even know what's the outcome, who is going, what they're doing. A lot of us don't know because you're not really out there putting it out and letting people know CariFesta is coming. We're calling for new artists and new actors and actresses and whatnot. Most of us don't even hear about these things. So it wouldn't behoove you to consult or dialogue with the relevant ministry and ask them, what's the plan? And it cannot be at the 11th hour that you're just waking up and thinking, oh, what's the plan? And another thing, you know, I get the impression that because certain people were in the struggle and, you know, they struggled and they fought hard to be where they are today, that they have to be the catalysts or the ones to move a new generation into the promised land, into other spheres. But guess what? People are growing up. Children are growing up. Children of yesterday are adults of today. They have ideas too. You know, we claim that we are a Christian society, so we know the story of Moses, right? And we know that Moses was selected by God to move his chosen people out of bondage to the promised land. But did Moses ever see the promised land? So some of you activists need to understand that you are Moses, but then there's a Joshua who's going to move the movement into the promised land. So I'm not saying that you need to roll over and die in grace. I'm just saying there comes a time when you will have to hand over the baton, and the repository of information and creativity does not lie only within you. You've got to pass it on. You've got to think of succession. People are dying every day. You know, you just hear people just boom, blast, died. I mean, look at how Laborde just died. Who would have thought that he would have not been here today, carrying on with the struggle in the drumming and all of that? But he died. Somebody killed him. And by the way, did we ever know who killed him? Is that investigation is a cold case and it's over because it was a botched robbery? Who knows? Who knows? These things just come and go. You know, you have blasts here that kills 4 people. Several others are injured. We don't hear anything about it. Months later, we don't hear anything about it. So, you know, people are killed. We don't know anything about it in a country that's 286 square miles, 170,000 people. We can't figure out who killed somebody as popular as Laborde. You know, what's going on? What's going on in this country? But let's just say that not all of us can be Joshuas. Some of us are Moses. And because we are Moses, we have to understand our role. Moses never made it to the promised land. So maybe you're not the one. Maybe you're not the one chosen to step into the new era. But you can still have your accolades as the person who fought and struggled for. Yeah? Fought and struggled for. But I hope for the CariFesta the whole Carifesta saga, that some sort of arrangement can be made. I don't know that you have sufficient time to raise all the funds that you need, or even half the funds that you need. But I would hope that you guys can enter into dialogue with the relevant ministry, and to get some funding for Carifesta. I would hate to think that St. Lucia doesn't participate, but then again, some would ask, what is the benefit of our participation? What do we benefit from it outside of the exposure for the same set of people over and over again? But hey, it is what it is. I sincerely hope that dialogue can be entered into, and that an amicable solution, a workable solution, can be had to ensure that St. Lucia participates in Carifesta. So today we had some good news, and we were told that the unemployment rate is dropping 2%. But hey, if I took 2% of 100 and I beat you for that length of time, that's a lot of licks. But it's good news, that 2%, there's a 2% reduction in the unemployment rate. Some people are saying, hey, that's was in the works from before. And speaking of which, do we even know what we want in this country? Do we know what we want in this country? I hear some people saying, oh, that's not from anything that this government is doing, that was from before. It's a whole year that this government has been in power, by the way. So I highly doubt that the reduction is from the previous administration. But hey, whatever makes you sleep better at night. But what I want to understand is, some of you say that this government has done nothing except continue with projects that they found on their desks, the DSH, certain hotels, these are things that they found on their desk. Then you turn around, very same people, turn around, different audience, and say, all this government is interested in doing is dismantling everything that the previous administration worked towards. Which is it? Are they continuing in succession the projects that were already there, that were tabled, or are they dismantling everything? It cannot be both. They cannot be continuing with all the projects that they found and yet dismantle all the projects that they found. A lot of the times, one of my favorite breakfast items is omelette. I love omelets. I have yet to make an omelette without breaking an egg. So my thing is, sometimes you've got to break a couple of eggs to make an omelette. You've got to dismantle some things so that you can make way for other things. But you got to do what you got to do. And I think after a year of this government putting things together, let's wait. Let's see another 6 months to see how, another 6 months, another year to see how these things that they're putting into place takes shape. What the fruits of the labor is. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's a year. But they've got 5 years. This is what we gave them. Collectively, 5 years in office. So they've got 5 years to make it work. And while you and myself may see certain things that we want to change, that we're not so sure about, that if we were in the position, we would not perhaps do, let's face it, there are a lot of us who would never be in that position because we're too coward. We're too coward. We cannot take the tough decisions. We don't want our families vilified. We don't want at every turn that our names that we work so hard for to be tarnished. So let's give them some time. They have 5 years to carry out the mandate that we gave them. Okay? And not oppose everything just for opposing sake. There is so much that can be fixed, that needs changing, that needs fixing, but we'll never get there if we keep stopping and halting and jerking forward and then go, backpedaling, ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. We need to do what we have to do. So yeah, as I said, the unemployment rate went down 2%, but whoa, I think it's by 5% that unemployment among young men have increased. And that's troublesome for me, that's worrisome for me, because it seems our young men, rather than go out there and look for work or try to create some sort of employment for themselves, are undertaking all sorts of sleazy and underhanded and unlawful acts. Just today, we were told of 3 young men caught in for the First District Court. They weren't brought there by the police. They actually went there, broke and entered into the First District Court, and they found themselves in the weirdest of places in the ceiling. Now, I wonder what it is that they were looking for. Were they looking for jobs in the court? Is that what they, because the unemployment rate has increased by 5%, were they looking for jobs? I hope that they were looking for jobs. But then again, when you're looking for a job, you come during working hours. I hope an example is made, because at the end of the day, too many times, we have to suffer because young men in this country refuse to get an honest day's work and just feel that they can just go in there and what exactly did they think they were going to get in there? The bail monies that people pay when they go to court? I hope, certainly hope, that monies are not kept in the court. And after this incident, if they were, I hope they have put measures in place to disabuse themselves of this this activity, or this habit rather. We're due for a break. When we come back, I have with me 2 special guests. See you soon.
You'll get over heartache.
Thank you for staying tuned, St. Lucia, and welcome back to What's Happening Now with Laura. I had a mouthful to say earlier, but it's always warming for me when I bring out something which is of a negative, has a negative overture, and then I can show you another side of it where it's a positive. So earlier I spoke about the unemployment rate having gone down by the 2%, but that we're still beleaguered with a high unemployment rate where it comes to young people, young males. 5% of men are, there's an increase of 5% unemployment rate within the male bracket, and that's very concerning, not just for me, but I would assume for a lot of you, because of the things that we've been experiencing lately, where men are concerned. So tonight with me, I have 2 young men, and I do mean 2 young men, and they represent the Feste Vendors Association. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say Feste, there's this, Labrie has this festival that we put on every last Friday of every month, and it's called Feste Labowie, and it's an offshoot of the Labrie Economic and Employment Forum. So tonight with me, I have Anric Walcott, who is the president of the Vendors Association, and I have Leon Shanks, who is the secretary of the Vendors Association. Now, guess what? They're guys. And I am so happy to see men, young men, taking the lead in those areas, especially for roles such as secretary. I mean, we are in such a chauvinistic society in St. Lucia that when you hear of associations or organizations having a secretary, we tend to think immediately it's a female role. But tonight, we're debunking that chauvinistic philosophy, and we have with us Leon Shanks, a young man who is the secretary of the Vendors Association. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Hi.
Anric, this is not the first time you're here. This
Nah.
is the second time. I think sometime last year you were here.
Yep.
And we're talking again about Feste Labowie and what you guys are trying to do with regard to the Labrie Economic and Employment Forum. But before we go into all of that, what do you think, what's your take on the unemployment rate among young men?
Well, I would say from a library standpoint, it's very high, very extremely high library. If you can pass through library any time of the day, and you will find young men somewhere, someplace doing nothing. There, it's really high in library. Around St. Lucia, I'm not 100% sure about that, but I know from my personal view in library, it's a big problem, especially around among young men. It's a very big problem.
What about you, Leon?
Well, I was actually a victim of that unemployment situation, and I think from since when I left secondary school, I think about 6 years, 5 to 6 years ago, I haven't been able to get myself into a stable job, and it was quite frustrating for me, especially at home with mom at me all the time, and and she's saying I'm not doing enough to push myself. But the problem is that we as young people need to push ourselves out there. It's not all the time that we are gonna get something coming to us. Sometimes we have to put ourselves out there to get what we want. Because in my case, that's what happened for me. I was unemployed for so long, but then I met this really wonderful guy. He's my boss right now. And I spoke to him, I market myself to him, I let him know about my qualifications and what I'm capable of doing. And he called me and he asked me to come in with my application, and there I was with a job. So I think the situation is not all the time about we having to get from others, but we have to go out there and find for ourselves
Absolutely.
as well.
Hit the pavement. And that's something I've always been saying. A lot of the times we send applications out there. And I mean, I speak from experience. We send applications, thousands of applications, but we don't do any follow-up. We never pick up the phone. And when I say we, I'm speaking generally, because I speak to young people, a lot of young people about that. When you send the application out, what do? Do you pick up the phone and call and say, hi, can you put me onto HR? I sent an application. Did you receive it? I know it's a cold application. So many different things. Do you scour the newspapers? And well, now with the internet being what it is, the online sources for job vacancies, is that the sum total of what you do? Do you do cold calls? You just walk into different organizations and ask to speak with somebody who can help? Do you try to volunteer your time? Do you try to get internships? These are some of the areas, these are some of the things that you can do to ensure that you get employed. And even if it's not gainful employment in terms of getting paid, but you can volunteer,
Right.
that's something that can go on your resume. So when you go to an interview and they ask you what job experience you have that. You intern somewhere, internship or apprentice somewhere. You may not be making a whole lot of money. It may just be sufficient to pay the bus and to, have a meal while you're out there. But the real work experience that you're getting, that's what's important. So I like what you said about marketing yourself and going out and pushing yourself forward.
Also, I believe that a lot of people in St. Lucia are not motivated to do anything whatsoever. I mean, some people start stuff and they don't go on with it because they don't get the support. First off, that's a big thing, support. And if you don't have that, then I don't think you have any foundation, right? So I believe we need to support the young people more. Because I personally believe if I didn't have my mom on my back or people to push me there, that I wouldn't have gotten to where I am right now as fast as I should have, right? So I believe it has to do with motivating people in St. Lucia. It has a lot to do with that.
Okay. And so you are saying that you need a support network,
Right.
and the family is perfect,
Right.
should be the perfect support, and not just saying, negative things, but
Right.
positive reinforcements.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earlier in my preamble, I spent a long time dealing with the cultural center. Now, Enric, this one is for you because I know you're a cultural baby. You do so much in the cultural industry. Have you ever, your group, you have a group, a stilt walking group, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever participated in any activity within the cultural center with your group?
Well, many times.
Many times.
Many times, especially around the carnival season.
Carnival season. What's your experience with the cultural center and as it relates to all of the talk going on right now with getting a new cultural center?
Getting a new cultural center, that would be the best thing to happen to St. Lucia on a whole, not just artists, St. Lucia on a whole. Performing at the cultural center for me personally, well, it's not tailored to my type of performance. We do still. By the time we enter inside of the cultural center, we're the tallest thing there.
Right. How
Anybody-
do you guys enter from backstage? I mean, I've been backstage, I've been on stage, so I know the whole setup of the cultural. And I couldn't imagine me doing stilts inside the cultural center. You've actually done it
Yeah.
a performance inside on the stage.
Well, we cannot go on the stage.
Aha.
We cannot go on the stage. We're already too tall for the cultural center alone. Because by the time we enter inside, all the lights knocking our heads. And
Right. How
we
tall
have
are
to-
your stilts?
well, the tallest one we have is 7 feet,
Whoa.
7 feet off the ground. And by the time we enter inside there, we ourselves our own height. We already knocking all our heads and every light that's inside there. So it's not a very comfortable place to perform. Not very comfortable.
Right.
Not very comfortable.
So
at
you,
all.
for one, would be happy to see
Extremely happy.
a better,
Extremely
more
happy.
improved.
Because there's so much we can do with our own talent, but there's no place for us to perform.
You have
We
no-
not even in library. We barely have a place to train for us perform. So it's a bit difficult for us to perform at the cultural center. A new one, that would do us great.
Right. But I mean, you talk about not even having a place to train, but you guys are in high demand anyway.
Yeah.
You make it work.
Yeah.
So because you're motivated, as Leon was saying, you're motivated to excel at your craft and to be in high demand.
Yep.
That's very good. But this is not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Festel Abowi and the Vendors Association putting this thing together as a subshoot of the Library Economic and Employment Forum. You are going to be celebrating 2 years.
Yep.
What has that journey been like?
Not easy. Extremely difficult.
I remember last year when you were here, you talked about not getting the support, financial support from in terms of sponsorship. How has that improved over the last year?
Well, last year we approached the sponsors at the wrong time, because normally the sponsors they plan for the entire year, so nobody wasn't really able to come on board with us from last year. But from this year, we have been getting a lot of support.
Continue
A
support.
good.
And what's the turnout been like at the shows?
Well, it has been moderate. It hasn't been what we want it to be, but it has been okay. People have been coming from all over St. Lucia, not just the south, everywhere in St. Lucia.
Leon, talk to us a little bit about the setup of of Festel Abowi. What can one expect when they come in? Because I mean, we have the Grosile Jump Up Friday. There is the Ancillary Fish Friday, which I've heard is dying a really. It's dying. I don't. The word I was going to use to describe it, I mean, I best not use it. But it's dying slowly but surely. It's been strangled to death. What makes Festel Abowi different from this type of activity?
Well, with us, I would love to believe that it's because that we do not focus on the event as a business itself, but we focus on helping and giving back to people, right? Also, we struggle to it just as much as Grosile and everybody else. We struggle with entertainment for people. Usually people are disappointed with that. But over time...
But more times than not, I hear you guys have some big names.
yeah, we
You
do.
know, last month, whom did you guys have on?
Mark 11.
We had the Phases Band from Viewport.
Right.
That was the best performance we have had for Festel Abowi for the entire year. For the entire year, that was a really nice performance. And we had Mark 11 and Isla Man
Yeah.
closing out the show.
How did that come down?
Yeah, it was a very nice show. Very,
As
very
for
nice.
me, when Mark 11 was performing, it got so crowded in the market square, I actually had to leave with my little brother because, you know, it came to a point where we couldn't even see properly. And, you know, it was fun because he did something differently. He called on, like, people from the crowd and had them do a little performance to
Right,
entertain the crowd.
Right, so there
all
was
that
crowd
is-
participation.
Right, all that
Right.
is perfect for the event. And
Right,
we want more of that.
right.
Yeah, so we try to encourage like a lot of artists to come and help us.
And you've had some big names. Was it late last year or earlier this year? You've had people like Ezra, I think,
Yeah.
come through.
Yeah, this
You've had people like Ricky T come through.
Yeah.
You've had people like HP.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lancelot. We have had a good cast for the past year, but our problem is the location of the way the village is structured. We don't really have a place to house any entertainment for say, and getting a stage, the lights for the stage, security for the stage, and that would be a big extra cost for every festival. We don't have that. So we have to use the market square, and the market square is not. It wasn't built for that.
Right.
And
Now, our last, well, not our last, because he continues to be the representative for Labrie, spoke about revamping that area there so that it could house that kind of thing. I for one, was excited about that.
extremely.
Did he consult with you guys with regard to his plans for the market square?
Not that I know of. Well, there was. Well, I heard there was plans to do a new square. I think there is plans to do a new square, but when it's gonna happen?
But you guys weren't consulted.
Maybe the Labrie Economic and Employment Forum was, but Festin Festin vendors, but not really. If anybody would be contacted, it would be the forum, the employment forum,
Right,
that would
right.
be contacted.
But
on
I
that.
would have thought that you guys would have been involved in that as well, because you guys are the ones making sure that the forum is, it's the brainchild of the forum, but you guys are the ones that make sure that there is a Feste Laboe.
Yeah.
So you guys know what your needs are, and I would have thought that you guys would have been consulted with regard to that. But
Well,
you guys weren't?
No.
Okay. But maybe, who knows?
In the future.
There's still possibility for that. Last time we were here, Edwin, we talked about wanting to relocate Feste Laboe from the village center to maybe the beach side. Is that still in the works?
Well, it's not. We're not relocating. We want to add upon it. Add it, extend it to the beachfront. So when you come to Labrie, you will have an experience of the village, the roadside, and you will have experience of the beachfront. Labrie has one of the best, well, not the one, the best, the most beautiful beach in St. Lucia right now.
Agreed.
So we would want to expand on that and use all of that.
Right.
But that's plans in the future. That's
Maybe
for the future.
for the next
Yeah.
year. But how would you but even if you have plans for it for the future, you have to start looking at infrastructure wise and whatever. Have you started broaching the topic, the subject to the various stakeholders?
Well, the first person that we had to get involved was Lucilec, because the beachfront there is not much light in there.
Right.
Well, the first thing you have to do is light up the beachfront as much as possible, so that people won't be walking into any dark holes or anything of that stuff. And Lucilec has already given the assurance that anytime we're ready to extend, they would light up the beachfront for us.
Right. Who are some of the partners that have committed to you guys in a very serious way?
The sponsors.
That we have the chairmans. We have chairmans on board.
That's St. Lucia
Lucia Distillers, right?
The
Yeah, so-
Winwood and Leeward Brewery, they have given us the commitment that they will not let that event die, because the brewery is in the south, and that's the closest event to the brewery. So that's the easiest access. That's where they can sell the most drinks. No transportation day to day. So they have given us the commitment. They are there with us. They have been there with us from the beginning, and they will continue to be there with us until whenever.
Any other partners, Leon?
Yes, we have TA distributors with us. John Guesthouse, Debbie, Library Council, police in Library, the police, Coconut Bay, Ladera Resort, Sugar Beach.
Wow.
These are all people who want to help us with the event.
And these are businesses or organizations that reside within the South in close proximity.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's the South. You've created a platform for the people of the South to help the people of the South.
Yep.
That's right.
Right.
But before we move on, I want to make special mention to the Library Police Station and the Library Village Council because they have been a lot supporting us a lot from the
Been very
onset until now, and it has been 2 years. They have been doing it for us. So I want to make special mention of them in particular. Yeah.
That's awesome. So the whole point of putting together Festelabui was what exactly?
To create employment.
And has it created employment?
It has, hasn't it?
Yes. In terms of casual labor, a lot of casual labor. We get a lot of people. Okay, for example, we have 16 registered vendors, and the minimum amount of people under each tent is 3, right? So if you have 16
Right.
by 3,
Right.
we
You
get
can
the
do the math.
right. So, but we always encourage people to bring more.
So there's more opportunity for more
Right.
vendors to come in.
There is a lot.
One of the things that I found going to these events is that a lot of the vendors, they all serve the same thing. So you would go and you'd find chicken, or if something sells well, like when CX in season, everybody
Everybody has
wants to be, Now I remember when Feste first started, I remember standing near a booth, and I remember the guy saying, next month, man, we have to get something different. Because he started doing something, and then by the
Somebody
time
pick it up.
somebody else picked it up, and he was no longer different. So his clientele had diluted.
Yeah.
So he wanted to do something that was different. Do you continue to have that battle?
Well, as of right now, we urge each vendor to come up with at least one dish, something that would make their business known, that no other booth will have. That's what we're doing right now. Now, coming to the anniversary festa, that's in June. Coming to festa, you're gonna find something extremely different. You won't find every vendor with the same thing. You may find chicken all over, but there is one thing that will make each vendor stand out in this coming festa. And we're gonna start. If you came to the festa and you didn't see it before, coming to this one, you will see it. You will see something different about each and every booth, because bringing on new vendors, because we have lost a few vendors and we have brought on some others. Any new vendor coming in, you must come in with something different. You won't just come in and sell the same chicken everybody selling. You must have something with a variety, something that everybody wants, or make everybody want it.
Right. Now, one of the things I've noticed is in the beginning stages, there was not any place for people to have a little sit down and have a drink
Yeah.
and catch up and socialize. And not everybody likes the walking thing.
Yep.
And some people want to patronize, but physically they're unable. So I've noticed that you have had an inclusion of picnic benches.
Yep.
Is that something that we can see more of coming on?
Yep. This festival we urge each vendor, we give each vendor an allowance on the tent so that they can have a little area for their customers, because each vendor have their own customers. And you don't want your customers to be leaving and going someplace else. So we
Right.
urge everybody to invest in the table, the chairs, to place on the side of the booth, so that if you're gonna have a domino competition, that's your little area.
Right,
So you work with your little area. So you can do whatever they feel like, but they go through us, tell us what exactly they're gonna be doing, and then they make it happen.
So it's 2 years. What are some of the activities that you have planned to celebrate 2 years? And I like the fact that you look at it like you look at each vendor as a business, and not just
Yeah.
a vendor. That's your business, because it is your business.
It is your business. With one statement that the deceased Mr. Willie John always said. He was at the forefront of Festelabui. And one thing that he always said: no vendors, no festa. No vendors, no festa. So we try and improve on the vendors as much as we can. And even going into the 2 years, we have a lot planned for the vendors
Right.
and for Festel Abowe.
Okay, so it's 2 years. What are some of the activities, especially for celebrating the 2 years?
Well, it's celebrating the 2 years is a collaboration with the Library Economic and Employment Forum. There are some activities they put in on as well, together with the Vendors Association.
Right. So on the 19th of June, which is Monday, we start off with a public meeting, which begins at 5 p.m. Public meeting, and on the 21st.
Where is the public
21st,
meeting?
That's at the Market Square. Sorry.
And what's the point of the public meeting? What is the...
Well, we're gonna have two main speakers: the a police officer, the sergeant of the Library Police Station, gonna speak about more mass crowd events, what to expect, what the traffic plan for the event, residents living in the area, what's gonna be the, because for this coming festival, we're gonna give Festa a different look. We're gonna have a stage, and we're gonna see if can that stage work for every Festa. We're gonna have a different traffic plan, so we're gonna give everything a different try
Right.
to see if we can boost it up a little bit.
And to better
And the other
offering.
part, Nemo will be coming in with some other proposal to the public as well, especially for the neighboring community.
So the point of this meeting that you're going to have on the 19th is more information dissemination
Yeah.
Right.
and to get everybody on the same page
Yep.
as to the changes that will be taking place moving forward for
Yep.
First Step. What else do you have?
We have a vendors training, vendors workshop. That's on the Wednesday, 21st June. Right, it's basically to train the vendors, different, like give them opportunities to learn different recipes and stuff like that. You know, get more into the business.
More or less what
idea.
we've been talking about
Right.
Yeah.
to help them as a business.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not just having a booth, but this is a business for you
Right.
and how you can improve yourself. So it's a training program
Yep.
for
Yes.
the vendors.
Yeah.
And well, we're gonna be having a wide range of topics. The health department gonna come on board to tell us the safety in
and
terms of
safety,
health. Yep. The fire department will be there as well. The police will be there as well. How to safeguard your money after a night. What should you do? What shouldn't you do? Well, we're gonna have a chef from Sugar Beach coming and
Nice.
show us a little, and we ourselves gonna cook for ourselves.
Right.
We're gonna learn from each other on that day as well. Yep, that's the Wednesday.
So this one is open to the vendors
Yeah.
that are a part of
The
the festival.
association,
Right.
right.
Great.
And then also on the 22nd of June, we have a karaoke in the Credit Union parking lot.
Okay, so that's a Thursday.
Yeah, that's a Thursday, and it's we encourage people. We want to encourage everybody to, most people who can come.
You
because
want to encourage everybody.
everybody, right?
to
But
come,
but
right.
it's not
Everybody.
everybody that will be
Yeah.
able to come. That's why I said most. It's kind of like a fundraising for the association so that we can help cover the expenses,
Right.
right? So it's more of a fundraising thing on the Thursday, the karaoke.
Nice.
Well, the karaoke will be held in the Credit Union parking lot.
Yeah.
That's the 22nd. That's a Thursday from 6 p.m.
From
onwards.
6 p.m.
Right. Saturday 24th, we have the Kaiso Legacy Show and Dance. And that takes place at the Library Parish Hall from 8 p.m. Right. And
Now,
So who are some of the Kaisonians that are going to be in attendance?
well, that show is a collaboration between the Library Economic and Employment Forum and TOT Soca Village
Okay.
Calypso 10. So it's gonna be the TOT Soca Village artists performing on that day.
Okay.
And we have a good
And we're
number.
looking at artists like whom?
Her Black.
Yeah.
We have the reigning SLTU champion from Library.
Whoa, yeah, and I heard her song and I think that was a nice, great performance.
We're gonna have Morgie, Black Pearl, Tisha, Her Black, Soca Soldier, and a lot more. MC'd by Izai Hall.
Oh well. MC'd by Izai Hall, I mean, the Grandmaster himself. So make a plea to the people, and not just Library people. You're talking about Vieux-Fort, Vieux-Fort, Choiseul, or maybe right up to Soufrière, and even from further afield. People leave the South all the time to go to tent in Castries. So tell them, this is the one that I want you to really focus on because that's supposed to be a big thing, right?
Yep, it is a really big show. That's the first of its kind in a long time in Labra. It's been a while. We haven't had any major show in Labra. So we're asking everybody to come out. Ticket
Everybody.
$20. You're gonna have a hell of a show. It's
So
gonna be a
buy,
thing.
they need to buy the tickets early
Yep.
because there's only limited space
Yeah,
in the parish
hall.
hall
We
because we
cannot-
don't have a facility that
Facility,
can
yeah.
hold 1,000+ people, right?
Right.
Yeah. So everybody buy your tickets early. Buy it early. If you want to see, if you want to be there, that's the place to be on June 24th.
It's not if you want to be there,
Saturday.
you have, to be there.
Yeah.
I
Where-
mean, that's local entertainment. It's right to only support them.
It's
Because
gonna-
not
it's gonna
anybody
be backed up
outside that
by-
really support. So come support the local artists.
Where can we get tickets?
Wednesdays,
Tickets.
you can get tickets from all vendors of Festelabo. All vendors.
So I'm not from Labra, so I don't know who all the vendors are.
So you can get
So,
from
uh-huh.
Mama Rose, Big Bamboo, Wednesday's Ice Cream. That's
And these are all on the main street.
yeah. Beaufort, Frances Boutique, Beauty Boutique, and anywhere in Labra, all over Labra, you're gonna
Right,
get tickets.
right.
Once you ask for a ticket, anybody gonna locate you to find a ticket somewhere.
Is there a number, somebody that they can call if somebody, you know, wants to have a ticket reserved or 2 tickets
Yeah, they
reserved?
can contact me. 518-2582.
Repeat that.
518-2582.
Okay,
25
so
is
they
that.
can call you, Anric, and you
Yeah.
can tell them a little bit more about where they can receive tickets, they can purchase tickets. But for the Labra people, you know your vendors, purchase your tickets from your Labra. Do not wait last minute.
Yep,
Just have to say,
trust me,
dernier moment. Do not wait for the last minute because there are Je Choisis, Je Viefo, Je Souffrier who are going to want to come down to Labra to get this rare opportunity to see these artists, and a lot of these artists have won the
Yep.
the monarchy in their own right. So these
Right.
they don't often get the opportunity. And $20,
$20.
$20. So
Nothing.
you're going to be competing with people from outside of Labra to come and take in this rare moment. So purchase your tickets, and for those of you who want to come in from outside of Labra, you can come on the main street Nipot Mudumade for Wednesdays. Mama Rose,
Big Bamboo.
Big Bamboo. They're right there. They're right there.
Also, I don't know.
Before you
Right.
hold that thought, we already have our first call. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hi, is that Laura?
Yes, it is.
Hi. Good evening. Good evening
evening.
to your guest too. I'm just.
Hold on, sir. Can you hear?
No.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat what they're saying because you're saying because they can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you're saying.
Okay, just go ahead, but I am going to repeat what you're saying to my guest because we're having some technical difficulty. They cannot hear you.
Okay, I'll speak. I'll
Yeah.
speak slowly.
Okay, just go ahead. I'll just be repeating you.
No, I'm just going back to the topic about the cultural centre and the
Yes. Okay, the cultural center.
legal court truth. The building. I'm getting an echo, to be honest with you.
Just go ahead. I'm hearing you fine.
Anyway, I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
The building at Bois d'Orange, the half-finished shopping mall. You remember what I'm talking about?
The what? Sorry.
It's the shopping mall that's been half-finished for the last 20 years.
Yes. That's up Monjuro side there.
Could that? Yes. Could that not be used for the legal court bill? I mean, it's nothing. It's just a garbage dump right now.
It's an option, I guess. It's certainly an option. But
No, I mean,
but my thing is, and I don't have a problem with that, I don't have a problem with them moving the courts as long as there's sufficient parking and it works, whatever the location works. My my take on it is, if they move the cultural center, then it means that they will not rebuild the cultural center exactly as it is right now. So that is
Correct.
a motivation to get us a better cultural center. That's my motivation for wanting them to relocate the cultural center. But for sure, if it works better to use that location as you're suggesting, hey, I'm all for it. Because we do need a proper court.
I think it'd probably more appropriate for the legal courts and leave the venue for the cultural centre where it is and build a new cultural centre right on Barnard Hill.
Well, I mean, that's possible, but then my fear is that they're not going to have the motivation to do it right away, because it's obvious. I mean, we have limited resources, so obviously, if they're going to prioritize things, the courts will get first dibs on whatever resources that they have, and they're going to continue using the cultural center as is for as long as they can. But if you move it completely, then you can't just not have a cultural center. You can't just remove what's there and give us exactly what is there. It would behoove you not to give us a better cultural center. This is how I'm looking at it.
Right.
So, I mean, whatever works, but for me,
No, it's
my
just-
motivation is a better cultural center.
If they could, we're sort of interrupting one another, Laura. There's a big.
Maybe your television is the volume is too high?
Maybe if I turn it down just a minute.
Yes, please.
Is that better?
Oh yeah, that I'm
Okay.
not hearing.
No, it's just that this. I was thinking if we were able to use that half-finished building as the legal court building, it would seem to make everybody happy. I mean, everybody wants to keep the cultural centre where it
Well,
is.
not everybody, yeah, and I'm cutting you off, but not everybody, because
Now
some,
I can't hear you because
Oh, you
my
can't-
television is down.
Oh no. But I'm saying that not everybody. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I've had
Okay.
to turn the TV up again.
All right. Because I have actually spoken to some people who are like-minded like myself and would love to see the cultural center moved, because for that same argument that they're going to get a better cultural center. Because let's just say they build a bigger, better cultural center at Bernards Hill, then you're going to be taking up a lot more space, and then you're going to have less parking. So they're concerned about that
Parking
as
space,
well.
right.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah,
move to
yeah.
a bigger,
Where would you suggest? Where would you suggest they have the?
the cultural center,
Yeah.
I really haven't
Library.
thought about it, but I like some of the, and I can't say exactly where, because it's just a whisper in my ear, but some of the locations that they're actually looking at, I actually like them because it's easy access and the space is large enough to get sufficient parking.
Just give me one. Give me one venue where. Give me
somewhere
one
along
venue.
the shock area.
Okay.
All right, so you have it's
I'll let somebody else ring you, Laura. Okay.
Okay, no problem. But as I was saying to him, it's easy.
Good luck with the Library Festival. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But as I was saying to him, I like the shock area because it's right there along a major thoroughfare. Bus, the Grosley bus, the Babono bus. So many buses go through that area, so busing people from the city is not going to be a major problem. It's not going to affect, and the space is large enough that you can have a large enough proper cultural center with sufficient parking. So I kind of like that general area for the cultural center. But hey, if it means that we already have an area where we can use for the courts and continue to clamor for a better cultural center while staying at Bernards Hill, but that's okay. But we were saying before we got our first call, and the lines are open. This is your time to interface with us. The number is 4519788. You can send us your WhatsApp messages at 284-6536 or send us your emails at laurajapierre@gmail.com. We have another call. Hello?
Hi, good night,
What's on
Laura.
your mind? Good night.
Good night, Laura.
Good night.
Good night to your guests as well.
Good night.
Good night.
Laura, I was wondering, like, I heard earlier on that your guests were saying that tickets are only on sale in library.
No,
I was wondering
tickets
whether
are,
they could not find suitable business places, like say in Swazel, let's say the
so
Nicholas gas
I
station.
knew that
I
there
forgot
would be
one
people
the PI gas station
where
and the Sufa gas station where they could sell the tickets.
okay, so they're selling tickets in View Fort. There's one other place that they forgot.
Well, it's in Castro. The TOT members
Okay.
have tickets on sale.
So TOT members have tickets as well, and the tickets are sold in library as well. But this person is asking, can tickets be sold in Choiseul and Soufrière?
Can they?
Okay, good night.
Thank you so much for your call and contribution. So maybe that's something that you may want to think about,
Yeah.
Right.
to make it easy access, because then you have to come down to the library, get the
Yeah.
tickets, and then come back. Are tickets sold on the day?
Well,
You try not to want to.
Yeah, we have a maximum number of persons the parish hall can hold.
Right.
So it's gonna be a bit difficult.
Right.
gonna
Okay.
be a bit
Understand.
difficult.
So you have the showcase. You have the Kaiso showcase. What else is there to celebrate?
We also have on Sunday 25th a gospel explosion at the Labrador Market Square as well.
So
from
that's the
5
day-
p.m.
So
Yeah.
that's the day after the Kaiso, so that you do your bacchanal thing, and then you have kind of like an Ash Wednesday kind of thing
Yeah.
coming directly after you have the
That
gospel.
one, that one is more organized by the Labrador Economic and Employment Forum.
Okay.
That one is on day part,
Mhm.
primarily. Because that's a show they have been wanting to do for a very long time.
Right.
And we just got the opportunity
Mhm.
to do it within the same 2-year celebration.
Who are some, if you know already, of the acts that are going to be? Is it just basically groups from Labrie or?
Well, we have invited every church from Saltibus coming down to Labrador to Auger and some more in Choiseul to take part to come and do a presentation on that night, along with some other national people as well.
Right. Okay. So, but you don't have any. You don't have any names specific now.
Well, not yet,
Okay. Great.
not finalized yet.
But also I heard about Nyabinge. We inviting them, right?
Yeah.
Itself, like we want to invite more. I wouldn't say all denominations, but most of them in the vicinity.
Right, right.
Right.
So you are, it's not just a Christian thing. It's
No,
more
yeah.
of the various. You're going to have a representation of the various religious.
Everybody,
yeah, right. So it's
everybody,
more
because
religious,
everybody
yeah.
everybody comes to Labrador, everybody.
And we encourage them also, like each denomination that we invited to make a presentation
Yeah.
of their own, whether it be a song, a poem, or whatever
On
they,
that
they
day.
feel like
Right.
doing.
The
Right?
name of the gospel show is
The name of the gospel show is Hosanna to Jehovah. Hosanna to Jehovah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you've got what else you have?
But this 2 years anniversary is we dub it the giveaway, the give back to Labrador.
Okay. All right.
So we have as many giveaways as possible within that week and the following week. Now, especially on the Friday, the
So you're not
30th.
they're not just coming to support you, but you're also giving back to them. So if
Right.
ever you had to be a part of Festival Bowie, if ever if you haven't been or you've been and you come, you don't go, this month
Is the
is
month
the
to be
month
there.
to come.
Yep.
So
Yep.
at every show that you put together, you have giveaways, or just
every show.
every show?
Every show. We
Right.
get from we gonna have on the Friday itself. That's the day we want to give away the most. We want to give away from Ladera is already on board with us.
Wow.
Sugar Beach,
So
Coconut
you've got
Bay.
like dinners and day passes
Right.
and
Everything.
lunches and stuff like that. Awesome. So how do you participate to
Well, just be there.
just be there?
Just be there.
And then you ask questions or
Right.
Just
whatever.
be there. Just
Yeah.
be there. It
So you've
can
got
be
to be in it to win it.
Yep,
Doing it,
just
right.
be at Festival Friday, 30th of June. Just be there.
Right.
It's gonna be a show.
The
We-
lines are open, St. Lucia. The number to call is 4519788, and you can call us and talk to us about any of the things that we've talked about this evening. You can call us and give them some suggestions as to what you would like to see, especially those of you who have already been to Festival Bowie and know what it's like, to share your experience, to give them some advice as to what you would like to see to better the event. So the lines are open for 4519788. You can send us your WhatsApp messages at 2846536 or send us your email at laurajapier@gmail.com.
So now, speaking about giveaways, we would like to give away 2 tickets.
Oh, whoa.
To call us.
2 tickets to
Kaiso
the
Legacy.
Kaiso
Kaiso
Legacy,
Legacy.
yeah.
So there you go. The giveaway starts right
Right now.
now. Do you have a question that you want to ask them?
Any 2 artists for the first
Right.
ticket.
So
Any
the
2
number
artists
is
performing at the show.
4519788. We're giving away 1 ticket to the first person who can call in and give us the names of 2 artists.
Artists, yeah.
2 artists who are going to be performing at Kaiso Legacy. Good evening. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon.
Good night.
Good night.
Good afternoon to the guests you have.
Sorry?
Good afternoon to the 2 guests you have with you.
Yes. Good night to the 2
Yeah,
guests.
good night.
Yeah, good night.
My
Good night, sir.
contribution is this.
Uh-huh.
If some of the old people have neglected or have abandoned the young people, such as these 2 gentlemen,
I'll ask them in return. Don't I'll return them penny for penny. But what I'd like to say, if they would invite people like Ramopolio from Bellevue, I believe that would be a nice thing because there are also in library who would like to hear some violin playing.
Absolutely.
So I believe that would be a good thing if they would invite people like Ramopolio.
Nice.
Now I'm speaking from Monier, but I'm somebody from Viewfort.
Okay.
And I will be there because there are people who would like to visit in library.
Awesome.
Because library, when I look at Viewfort and library, I look at them to be one thing. And I will be present.
Absolutely.
And I
wonderful.
look forward to know this gentleman in person when I come now.
Wonderful, wonderful. We'd like to hear that.
And in the gospel singing activity, I will be there.
Nice.
Wonderful,
We appreciate that, sir.
Appreciate it so much. Do you want to take a stab at winning the ticket to the Kaiso Legacy?
Oh, in fact, my presence will be everywhere, but in the gospel, I will take part.
Okay, all
This
right.
is a word of testimony I will give.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Thanks very much. So please invite Ramopolio in that activity.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure they will take that under advisement and work towards making it happen. Thank you for calling. So again, the number is 4519788. We're giving away a free ticket to Kaiso Legacy, and that is going to be held on the 24th of June at the Labrie Parish Center. We have a call. Hello. Yes.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, the two artists, one would be Mogi and one would be Herb Black.
One would be Morgan, one would be
Yeah.
Herb Black, and you are quite correct, and you've won our first ticket for this evening. Can you give us your name?
Yeah, Laura, just hold it for me. Didan hai.
Who?
Didan hai. Didan hai.
Oh, okay, all right, no problem. All right, so I'll just hold it for you, and you'll get in touch with me, and then we'll make arrangements to get it. Okay? Thank you so much. So we've just given away our first ticket. We have one more ticket to give away. And what's the question?
Well, the other question is, what does LEAF stand for?
LEAF?
Yeah.
LEAF?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the second question. What does the acronym LEAF, LEAF stand for? And the number to call is 4519788. We have a call online. We lost the call. Okay, so 451, and we're running out of time. We have another call. Thank you for calling. You're on the air. Labrie Economic and Employment Forum. Beautiful. So you've just won yourself a ticket to Kaiso Legacy on the 24th of June. What's your name? Hello?
Larissa Andrew.
Melissa?
Nerissa.
Larissa Andrew.
Nerissa. Nerissa Andrew. Okay, Nerissa. So you've just won yourself a ticket to Kaiso Legacy on the 24th. Bring your posse, and I know you have a posse. All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, dear. All right, so we've just given away, and the giveaways have started. As Anric said, give back. What's it? The heading? What you said? What the topic was?
Well, it's giveaway. The giveaway.
All right, so
Giving back to the community.
This is giveaway feste. So we've started giving away tickets, 2 tickets to Kaiso Legacy, and I am making a special appeal to all of you who are watching right now, who have never, particularly those of you who have never been to Feste Laboe. This is the Feste Laboe to come to. This is the one where you're not just supporting young people trying to make ends meet and trying to provide for their families. They're going to be giving back to you. And there are a number of activities. Quickly, let's run through the activities that are going to be taking place as of Monday.
At the public meeting. At the Market Square from, I think, 7 p.m.
From 7 p.m.
From 7 p.m.
Wednesday.
Well, Wednesday is the vendors train.
Yeah, the vendors train.
But the first day we have a karaoke. We want everybody along Labrie. The South has become the hub for karaoke.
So we're asking everybody to cover, as long as you can spell Labrie.
Yeah.
You can see Labrie. Come down to Labrie for Thursday.
Yeah. We're gonna have a lot of giveaways to singles on that day.
Voila! I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm not. Right. So come down to the karaoke. Then we move on to Friday.
So Saturday.
Saturday.
Kaiso Legacy. From
Kaiso Legacy.
8 p.m. until.
Right.
It's
and-
it's a calypso show and dance. So
okay. So you're getting
2 in 1.
two in one for
Yep.
$20.
yep.
What
Awesome.
a deal. What a
Yep.
And then you
deal.
also you have giveaways on that day as well.
I love giveaways.
Awesome. So
I
you
love
need to come down
giveaways.
$20 giveaway. That's a triple threat. You have Kaiso, you have dance and giveaways. So you need to come down on Friday, and then you're taking it down, you're winding it down on the Sunday
Yeah, with
the Gospel Explosion,
Expo.
and that's
Yeah.
going to be held where?
At the Market Square.
At the
from
Market Square.
5 p.m.
From 5 p.m. So those of you who have not yet registered to participate in the Gospel Explosion, you can call Anric. The number is
518-2582.
518-2582 to register. And some people actually asked me about that. So you can call Anric to find out a little bit more about participating in the Gospel Explosion. It's going to be great. And then the
Friday.
following weekend,
The Friday.
Friday
That's
is
the last day of the month.
the last day of the month. That's the second anniversary, and that's when you're going to have the massive giveaways,
Right.
and you're going to have a massive show.
Right.
Can you tell us some of the artists that are going to be there?
Well, we're trying to have it in 2 sections, but it hasn't been fully finalized as of yet.
Okay.
But we are backing up band of Evolution.
Right.
Evolution.
Oh my God! And you know what? Who Evolution is, right? Evolution is the band that backs up the Soca Monarch, right?
Right.
Arthur Allen.
Arthur Allen. So you know that's no Tikaka Chef band. That's like a big time band in the scheme of things in St. Lucia. So you need to come out and take into
So
some
and
of
we're
that.
also going to be having the same collaboration with TOT, Soca Village as well.
Right.
Some of the artists, because they have soca artists in TOT as well, and Soca Village, they're going to be coming for that show. It's not going to be just a calypso show this time, so we're going to have a whole genre of artists. We're going
Right.
to try
So
and have,
that's Soca, Kaiso, all
Yep.
sorts of things.
we're going to have something for everybody.
Right.
Everybody.
So the date not to miss, the date you need to put in your calendar is the 30th.
Yep.
30th of June.
Right.
Lots of giveaways. Backup band Evolution. You're going to have the TOT cast. You're going to have music, great food, and lots and lots and lots of giveaways. We are all out of time. I want to thank you again, Anric and Leon, for coming on the show.
Yep.
And I especially love Labrie. Labrie is my community, born and bred. And I love when I see young people doing things to make things happen for themselves and for the community. Because the older people, they're going away. But we are the ones, the younger people. And I even taking myself out of that right now because it's on your backs, it's on your shoulders to ensure that Labrie continues and that it is sustained. And so this is only 2 years. You're still, Terrible Tools is still, you're still young.
Yep.
But here's to hoping that you can grow, continue to grow, and be on the calendar of events. When people come down to St. Lucia, no longer they say, oh, I want to go to the Grosley Jump Up Street Party. They can say, I want to come down and go to Feste Labrie.
Right.
No matter where they're staying on island, they want to come down to Labrie so that they can take in Feste Labrie. I mean, you have a great mix. You've got a dance. Usually you have a dance, right?
Well, this on the Friday, this time we're not going to have no dance.
No
we're
dance.
We're
You're
giving back. We're giving
right.
back. So we're giving a show.
Right, so it's a
All
show, so you have a
from-
show and everything. So it's a great mix. I'm telling you, I live in Labrie and I don't always get to go to Feste as I often want to. But this is a time that you're going to see me there. Because it's going to be, I think, epic. So you need to come out and support the young people, especially the young men. Especially the young men. Unemployment rate amongst our young men is way too high. Our young men are getting into way too much trouble. You know, every other day you hear a young man getting into some sort of trouble. I just got a text message, a WhatsApp message about an investigation that's been launched into the rape of 7 and 22-year-old. That's frightening. That's sickening. That's disgusting. Where is our heart? Where are your hearts, young men? So when you see young men doing things on the positive, we need to support them. This is all the time we have. Again, thank you, Anric and Leon, for coming through, and good luck with your week of celebration, 2 weeks of celebrations. And this is where I say adieu until next week. See you then.